Good afternoon and welcome to episode 3 of Ken's Kitchen. Happy Thanksgiving early. It is Wednesday. What is it? November 25th. No, we are not making pumpkin pie. We are making the not yet world famous, most of my recipes have that label, the not yet world famous apple pie. Tori's apple pie. Sorry grandmas out there, if your kids think and grandkids think you made the best apple pie, be prepared to learn you make the second best apple pie. So no disrespect to grandmas, let's take a look at the ingredients. I bring the camera over and show you, but it's a pain to set up with that angle, and if I move it, I'm never gonna get it back. So listen up, take this down. There'll be a quiz on this at the end. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 Granny Smith apples. I don't know what the weight is, you can count to 9. 9. Sugar, 1 cup of sugar, split. I guess I can walk up here. Split, half a cup regular, half a cup powdered sugar known as confectioner's sugar. We will talk about why later. 4 tablespoons of flour device, again split. So 2 tablespoons of regular all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Again, the same reason why we split the sugar, half a cup and half a cup. We'll talk more about that later. 2 tablespoons of regular butter. It doesn't have to be softened. In fact, if it's not, it's a little bit easier to work with. Let's see if we can get that in there without spilling it. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. A teeny tiny dash of salt, which I don't have to show you, you know what a dash is, and juice of half a lemon. Keep in mind, you need 2 store-bought, don't get mad at me, store-bought deep dish flaky pie crust. I don't know what's in these things or how bad the list of ingredients is, but I have found that homemade dough and homemade crust does not yield a result worth the time and the effort. So just get 2 of these in the freezer section. You don't need any baking ware. The pans are already in them, so you're not going to get anything dirty. All right, we're going to start by giving these a bath in the sink to rinse them off and get this annoying little sticker off. So be back in a minute. Okay, we've set up our workstation over here by the sink. All the apples are here getting a bath. I have no idea what's on them as far as preparation and display, like a food wax or something. You know, and in this day and age, who knows who's been touching them, and ew. Okay, enough of that. Took the stickers off. I'm gonna peel them, and you might ask, why would you take the stickers off if you're gonna peel them? Because you should not have any garbage in your compost stuff. That's why. A bowl probably bigger than you need for the contents to allow for mixing, and a good idea to get the pie crust out and acclimating. They do come frozen. Okay, a word on why Granny Smith. We had a green apple tree out in our side yard, and I honestly don't know what variety it was. I don't even know if it was ornamental, but it would produce the littlest, awfulest fruit if you tried to eat it like right off the tree. Bitter, almost inedible. So my mother would make apple pie out of it. Well, my mother has this great phrase called tooth-numbingly sweet, and she hates things that were tooth-numbingly sweet. So her apple pie, because it used tart apples and her own distaste for overly sweet desserts, led me to use the lemon juice, the dash of salt, and Granny Smith apples. So that's where that came from and why. Don't know if other apples would work. I'd be inclined to think not, because these things hold up well to baking. Again, not an apple specialist. You'll have to ask somebody in Sebastopol. Okay, so knife. I wouldn't use an overly sharp knife. Just one to get the job done. This is an old school Henkel knife. It's sharp enough to get the job done and not sharp enough to create injury. These Cutco things in back will remove your fingerprints. So I would not use an overly sharp knife because you might be, you know, brushing up against yourself. And don't worry, I'm a professional. I've done this before. All right, so cut your apples in half again. I usually slice down to get the core out once they're quartered. So they look like this. Sure. That's that. And don't worry, I'm not going to do all 9 of them. I'll just show you one and then stop the camera and catch up. Whoops. Move. Okay. Like that. All right. Once they look like this, I usually slice them in thirds, so anything so you get a sliver, that's fine. Anything smaller and they'll wind up having no form when they're done cooking. So you don't want them to be too chunky. So you need them small, but then again, you don't want them so small that they're just going to disintegrate. So not too large, not too small, kind of like a blonde chicken, 3 bears. Okay, take one sliver like this. I usually start, doesn't matter which side, just run all the way down. Done. One done. Let's see, 8 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, oh, sorry, each one was in 3, so that's 12. 12 times 9 is 108. That's 1 down, 107 to go. So, one more, and then we'll pause. So, and just kind of roll it like that. There might be a better way to peel an apple. Don't know. This used to be my thing, and I would sit with my mom and peel apples. So maybe that's why we kind of used a moderately sharp knife, if anything, as I was younger. And besides, I'm gonna have an apple snack along the way. Wow, these are good. All right, so 105 left. I'll be back in a minute. To paraphrase the SpongeBob show, one eternity later, they're all cut. So you can see they're all, as uniform as possible. Of course, uniformity is not at all necessary. And again, I'm not even sure that this is the best, that you couldn't get a better result having a different shape. All I know is that's what my mother told me. And like with all my recipes, if she dictated it to me, I haven't changed a thing in just about 50 years. It's kind of like that Italian joke where the daughter's looking at the mother cooking. Sorry about the gender stereotypes. And the mother would cut about an inch off the beef roast and throw it out before she put it in the oven. The daughter goes, "Mom, how come you do that?" My mom goes, "Well, that's the way my mother taught me." So the daughter goes to her grandmother and says, "Nana, why do you always cut an inch off the beef roast and throw it out?" And the grandmother says, "Well, that's the way my mother taught me." So the daughter then addresses the great-grandmother, "Great mama, why do you cut an inch off the beef roast and throw it out?" And the great-grandmother goes, "Because it won't fit in my roasting pan." Think about that. That's how Italian recipes go. If something quirky is in sort of the original version, that quirk is all the way down. So haven't changed a thing for this recipe. That's why they're cut this way, and that's why I do what I do. Okay, once they're in the bowl, there's plenty of room for mixing. So I'm going to get the dry ingredients and everything, because there are no wet ingredients, put them in here and just make this apple filling goodness. While I'm at it, I'm going to preheat the oven to 375 degrees. All right, the confectioner's sugar along with the regular sugar, the flour along with the cornstarch. Got everything. The salt, the lemon juice, and the time for the butter is a little bit later. We'll talk about that when the time comes, and the cinnamon. Okay, that's it. It looks dry, like it's never gonna mix in. Trust me, it takes less than a minute. The best way to mix and to toss salad into many of other things is simply with your hands. So keep going like this. Spin around if you want, doesn't really matter. And I'll show you what we're after when it gets there. If you do any cooking with fruit or fruit toppings, canning, you know that the sugar is an acid and it makes the fruit sweat. So that's what I'm after. And that's that quote-unquote glaze that you're going to see on this. I think it's less than a minute. Yeah, it's already happening, so I'm going to reach underneath, make sure there's no dry ingredients left underneath. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to do a little digging, like making an old school mud pie, if you ever did that in the playground. Alright, so that looks good. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm also going to try one. Right, so you're after that kind of glaze. Like I said, it takes less than a minute for that glaze to start. And then just keep going. I mean, you can't over mix it. So go ahead and do that and just make sure there's no leftover dry ingredients. Otherwise, it's just going to be doughy and clumpy and ew. All right, take either half of your pie crust. Already has the tray, easy peasy, and just dump it in, pile it in, pile it in, pile it in. Like, oh my God, it's not gonna fit. It'll be too much, it'll overflow. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, kind of do that. And it might, maybe I was one apple too much. And that's all right, just eat what you don't use. Yeah. I think I was one apple too much. So, let me get one of my prep dishes out. Put the other apples in here. Yes, I am going to eat them while I'm cooking. Waste not, want not. They're really good. Okay, it looks about like an apple and a half too much. Like I said, my mother got 9 apples, I get 9 apples. You got an extra one, eat it. And you may wonder why I'm being so careful taking the extra apple slices out. Who knows? Should I pause for dramatic effect? Don't you dare waste that. Can you see it? I don't want to spill any of it. That's sort of the, oh, I could just do that. So you can see the glaze that's left over. I'm going to call it glaze, I'm not sure that's what it is. Just take one of your apple pieces, no sense dirtying up a spatula, and just scoop it in. Don't you dare waste that. It's free, it's delicious, and my mother told me to. All right, so just kind of do that, get it all in as best you can. Okay. Quick rinse off. Rinse the bowl off while you're at it. Nothing's worse than trying to clean dried on food when it's so easy to rinse it off before it's dried. Excuse me. All right, that's that. Quick rinse on the prep dishes. All right, that was easy. Okay, got that, everything's good. All right, so I think you can see it's kind of mounded on here, which we thought. This will cover it, and even if it's like just almost ready to tear through the crust, the opposite's gonna happen when it cooks. As the apples break down, it'll just drop, and you'll be surprised when we're done how full it is. You'll see it, it'll drop, and then as it's cooling, it'll deflate. You're like, oh my God. So you can't be like too full. As long as the pie crust cover it, you're fine. So you kind of want to max it as much as you can, then put the other pie crust on, and then it'll drop, and then it'll deflate when it cools. You'll see it. Okay, what's with the butter? So 2 tablespoons, one piece like that. My mother called it dotting. You dot the butter, or you dot with the butter, all the way around the interior. Just take little pieces, and they're not really slivers. It doesn't matter. There's no preferred shape. It's not like it's going to affect it one way or the other. And just put it around. I know, butter's unhealthy. I disagree. Butter's delicious. I think the only way you could get hurt by butter is if a butter delivery truck ran you over. If you don't believe me, check the ingredients on margarine. Okay. So, however 2 tablespoons is, you just stop when you're done. Kind of make sure it's spread out about as uniformly as you can. Again, it should be fine. Man, I'm a big believer in waste not, want not. All right, that's done. All right, moving on. Let me get a prep dish. A little bit of warm water. A little bit of warm water in a prep dish. Fill it up. Okay. Get a fork. And the fork is so you can eat your apple pieces. Kidding. Okay. Take the other pie crust. Take your fingers and go around the edge you're sort of getting the pie crust ready to be sealed by the other pie crust. So you're kind of, I don't know, reactivating the stickiness. I don't know what, if there's a technical term at all. Just kind of do that. Doesn't matter. Okay, same thing on the other one. All right, and it all comes down to this. Take the pie crust, flip it over, press it on, and go, oh my God, how am I gonna get the pie crust off? Or the plate, the pan off the top pie crust. Your pie lives and dies on this last step. Okay, so got it. Okay, again, this is how I do it. So down, peel this up. Just peel it up all the way around and try to release as much of the crust rim as you can. So just kind of get in there and your fingernails and pull it down if it doesn't come off, just the rim. Boom, like that. Take your time, there's no rush. The oven is preheated and waiting, so there is no rush whatsoever. It is not a race. Okay. Now, if the universe is on your side, it should already be released. If not, couple taps. Tap, tap. Oh, come on. Oh. Nope. And do not worry if there's any tears or breaches, we can fix it. Fortunately, we're not doing America's Pie competition or anything like that. If you got a little breaks or cracks in your crust, it's called character. At least that's what I'm calling it. All right, keep it going, don't worry. So you can tell I'm basically talking myself off the ledge. Come on. Oh, come on, pie crust, don't fail me now. There you go. So one side will come up, doesn't matter. So find that, bring it back, and you get a couple of these breaks. Let me see. Yeah, as I bring it over and it drops, you get a couple of those breaks. Big deal, big deal. You need vents anyway for it to cook. All right. So on a side note, go ahead and bend it back. There you go. Rinse it off. Dishwasher it, baked potato, painting, crafts, anything. Use them. Okay, so what was the fork for? Yes, I know it's a good utensil for the leftover apples. Dip it in your warm water. Actually, before that, run your finger around what would be the underside of the top crust rim, but it's now the rim of your completed pie. Just kind of bring it all the way around, and then you can repair any breaches that you see very, very easily. Okay, that looks good. All right, soak it and boom. Kind of make those little bird claw things. I don't know if it's necessary to seal the crust, but it looks cool. That's the extent of my crust artwork. I don't do any egg wash or designs or little dough bows or a lattice. That's it. Okay. There you go. So you can see the little, it's kind of cool. Okay, don't forget, make some vents. Again, I don't know, just kind of keep going. Yeah, okay, have some fun with it, what the heck. Okay. All right, if you don't make the vents, the pie's gonna burst and leak all over your oven. You'll be scraping off hard as rock baked apple off of your oven after you've been waving fresh air into the smoke alarm to get it to stop, speaking for a friend. So to keep yourself from having that experience, very good idea to have a drip pan. Any old, disgusting baking pan that's long past its prime, had this when I was 23. Anything that's long past its prime, save it as a drip pan. So, with that, a little bit of foil, non-stick foil, not that it matters, you're going to toss it anyway. So do that. All right. In the oven, be right back. Okay, oven 375 degrees, center rack, set your timer, 55 minutes. Timer, 55 minutes, go. At the end of 55 minutes, kick the oven up to 425 degrees and give it another 10 or 15 minutes depending on how brown the crust is. I usually go 15 minutes, excuse me, because I like a nice brown crust. So I'll show you that when the time comes. I'll see you in 55 minutes. All right, the pie's been baking for its 50 minutes at 375 degrees and just completed its 15 minutes at 425 degrees. So it's time for the reveal. All right, safety, safety. This will be my act as a cooling platform, a trivet. Best part about cooking at home is the air freshener. Wish you had smell-o-vision. Oh, okay, so let's see if I can bring it over here. That's what it looks like. So you can see the initial like collapse of the apples, right? Makes it look much less packed to the gills as it did before. And of course it will shrink markedly during cooling. You can tell the cracks in the top. I gotta be really careful if I drop this thing, I'll be hating life. So the apple is bubbling and you can see a little bit of bubbling there on the side. So yeah, this thing is thoroughly done. Smells as good as it looks. Okay, we're calling this done. So, oven off. All right, I would say if you're going to eat this or cook it the same day you're going to eat it, I would make sure it's done by about noon or 1 o'clock and let it cool to a traditional 6 o'clock dinner time. This, of course, is for tomorrow night. Like most Italian food, although apple pie really isn't Italian, it just gets better the longer it sits. Doesn't need refrigeration. So yummy, it typically doesn't hang out for longer than a week, but I'm sure it's good for that. So yeah, I hope you have a nice Thanksgiving. And now we have a wonderful way to end our Thanksgiving dinner. So from Ken's Kitchen, until episode 4, bon appetit.